Today we're going to talk about Ironroot Republic. Now, first things first, this is a gift from Josh Golladay that he gave me a long time ago. When I brought this up that I was going to shoot this, he actually was like, holy crap, I haven't heard about that one in a while. And he gave me the details of what was in it. And full disclosure, I have worked with Ironroot in a business relationship in the past. When we were with Crowded Barrel, we sourced barrels. I'm friends with Robert and Jonathan Licorice, and just about everybody that's at that distillery I consider a friend. And so there's no way that this is an impartial review. I'm a huge fan of what Ironroot does, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it. Now, this one specifically, I've been wanting to get into because way back in the day, there was a barrel program at Ironroot. And you know what? I should start first by just saying, welcome to Hidden Drams. Because we finally figured out the last 4 we shot before I knew what the names were. So this is Hidden Drams, where I talk about a small craft release of a whiskey that you probably won't be able to get, or it'll be hard for most of you to get. And it was our chance to get back into helping promote the craft whiskey industry and the smaller producers that we know and love. Also, I love that we've called it Hidden Drams, and this is also a lot more informal venue for me to just sort of like chat with you guys and answer questions and talk a little bit more about the direction of things. So that's what's happening today. And this, well, let me just say, Ironroot Republic is a distillery up in North Texas, in Denison, just about into Oklahoma, just right next to Oklahoma. And they're one of the most award-winning distilleries in the state of Texas. Their whiskeys win Best Bourbon of the Year over and over and over, Best Distillery, Best Distillery Manager of the Year with Marshall Licorice. They have a serious legacy in Texas whiskey, and they've put most of their energy into corn, heirloom corn varietals, and doing specific recipes of heirloom corn mixed with, you know, your classic yellow dent, and then new and used oak for corn whiskey and bourbon and brandies. And they bring in a lot of French techniques from the brandy industry. For example, specifically the entire understanding of taking care of barrels called élevage, which is a way of sort of caretaking and raising whiskey. Instead of just like making stuff, shoving it in a barrel, sticking it in a corner, and then once it turns 4, dumping it. They are caretaking every single step of the process, including following the barrels as they age, checking in on them, adding water to proof things down and change what it pulls from the barrel, and just sort of hands-on, maybe helicopter parenting a little, every one of these barrels. So, that being said, this is a release that Josh Golladay was involved in choosing when they were doing a thing called evolution barrels. And what that is they'd take a barrel and they would bottle a third of it over a certain time period. So they'd pull a third of it and bottle it, and then, you know, a chunk of time goes by, it ages longer, they pull another third, and then a chunk of time ages longer, they pull the final third. And what you got was a progression on 3 bottles of how this whiskey aged in this barrel. And he said when he chose this with Robert, he loved it because it had these sort of, what he said? He said smoky element, like a sort of a rich, kind of like a husky smoky note to the corn, and it was an American oak barrel. And the one that was right next to it, filled from the same run off the still, was just a wildly different whiskey. So this was Bloody Butcher corn as the accent corn in this one. Oh, okay, and he put tasting notes on the side, and I'll read them in a second, but it really is exactly what he said, which is your first nose impact is a rich, smoky, husky character. And then immediately behind that sort of tannic, husky, smoky note, and there's no smoke in this, like they didn't smoke it, it's just the barrel impact is so strong that it comes across as a smoky note. Right behind it is like a fruit, like a dark fruit, and it's very unique for a corn or a bourbon direction whiskey. Usually when I'm smelling bourbons, I always get a hint of that dusty, grainy corn note. And in this one, it comes across not as dusty corn, but as as a sweetness and a fruitiness, and then wrapped in smoke and char. It's a beautiful nose. Ooh. 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 I would pack this punch first thing in the morning. Has 60, I think it's 63. It's 60, like 61.38. Jesus. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm shooting these videos, and oh, it's still going, guys. It's so oily. It's so viscous. It's actually, it doesn't sound like it. It's actually kind of soft in the palate, but then you take a sip and it just goes raw and just unloads like a roaring lion. Just raw bourbon. And it's 46 months old, so almost 4 years old. Woo! I was going to try to grab 1 and 2 from the vault so I could show you, like, here's the progression. But it turns out we drank it all. So, sorry, Josh. Wow, okay. That one caught me so off guard. I'm going to go back. I'm going to try it again. Then I'm going to add some water. There we go. Okay. If I was giving you quintessential Texas bourbon, where it was like really heavy, dense flavor profiles, a lot of oak, but not so oaky that you're just like, your mouth dries up. But I will tell you that right now, it's so dry and so sort of like sucking the moisture out of my mouth that my mouth is watering like crazy. But it does come across as this sort of like dark fruit and then wrapped in rich, heavy, smoky oak barrel notes. And I had a water, here it is. Woo! Heard. I just feel like I need to use my safe word with this whiskey. So I just put a little mineral water in there. We're going to let it sit a second. So, have you guys been liking it? I'm getting to talk to you in the comments more. The hidden drams and the gifted drams, which we're going to be continuing to do on Fridays, have really had a fun thing. And I have been pulling randomly. Someone mentioned it would be cool on the gifted drams to have blind samples up there. And so when I pull a number, I first try the whiskey blind, and then I open up the thing and realize which gifted or donated spirit. And that's a great idea. An amazing idea. Would make great content. I don't have that kind of time. I am spending a lot of time shooting these videos and a lot of time, especially the other episodes, writing these videos. And that's about the max time that I can put into this production and still be a responsible caretaker of my role as Chancellor at Wizard Academy for the business school that has nothing to do with shooting YouTube videos. And so there's a lot of great ideas and things that would make this channel magnetic and grow and do, and you guys have come up with a lot of those great ideas, and I've seen them in the comments, and you're right, yes, they would be awesome. I can't do it. I don't have the time for it. And I don't mean because it's not important. I'm split and divided. My role as Chancellor is a big lift. That's part of why I stepped out of Tribe and Crowded Barrel, is to give my attention to that. But I did want to caretake and grow this channel, and so we've done things like this again to try to grow, and it's definitely working. But I've maxed out on my ability to create content for this. If I make any changes to it, I'll let you know. I am still working on a plan for a live stream, and we're going to test it out. Mike, who's shooting and editing all of these videos and standing on the other side of the room right now, he and I are going to work together to figure out the best way to deliver a good live stream where we can talk and Q&A and things like that. Okay, I'll let this sit for fair long enough, and you've heard me ramble for fair long enough. Oh man, that just, chef's kiss, that changed the whole thing. Now the note is a dark chocolate drizzle across a deep fruit pastry. And then there's some smokiness still lingering in the background, but it really exploded all the fruit. But the barrel notes now come across as chocolatey instead of dark oak tannin. Oh yeah. Okay, so this is good, but a little water, and it opens this thing up, and it's beautiful, and it loses not a single step on the weightiness of the palate. It doesn't get thin. It just sort of unrolls and becomes kind of like creamy and rich, but without being tannic. This is a great whiskey. There's a reason that I'm friends with these guys. There's a reason that any time that I needed help at Crowded Barrel and I was working on a distillation problem or a fermentation problem, or we were figuring out any kind of process and quality problems, one of my first calls was to the Licorice Brothers. Or I'd just be like, hey, Jonathan, we ran into this. What would you do? And they saved my ass so many times. So thanks to them for making great whiskey. And I'm really glad you're here. Cheers.